Hello, my friends. Welcome back to the channel. I'm Marcie. This is Solid Gold Scripture Journals, and today I'm doing future Marcie a big favor, and I thought I might do you a favor too. So last year, 2022, we studied the Old Testament in Come Follow Me, and I really enjoyed the study. I've studied the Old Testament a few times in my life, and every time I get more and more out of it. And this time I was determined to understand the history more, to understand the geography more, and I did that. So what I thought I would do is kind of write down a few of the things that I learned so they're in one place. So next time I study the Old Testament, I'll have it and it'll be good to go. So you might recall that last year I would often use this little page here. This is the Old Testament. Where are we in the Old Testament? And this beautiful artwork was done by Richard DeLand. And it's hard to draw so beautifully. So this one was written by Sister Butler, Margot Butler, and she just made it a little bit easier. Oh boy, that's coming in and out. A little bit easier to draw. So I really appreciated that. I took her work. I may have made one tweak to make it easier for myself. And then last year, when I was studying Come Follow Me, I would draw that information across the top of my page so I could just orient myself as to where I was in the history of the Old Testament. So I just want to take all the things I've learned, put them into one chart, so I have it for the future. Now, I'm probably getting some things a little mixed up, a little wrong. I'm not going into as much detail as I may in the future, but this is where I am today. This is what I'm drawing, and I hope you'll stick around as I turn the camera downwards and show you my scripture journal. Oh, hello, my friends. It's about 45 minutes later, and I'm having a hard time. My camera has shut off a couple times. I'm trying to do my drawings, and they look terrible, and I want it to be perfect because this is my last time, and I'm just wrecking pages, and I'm going to have to fix them up later. Don't know what to do, so I have decided to take this, photocopy it, enlarge it, and here we go. Let's start off with the creation, followed by the flood, Noah's Ark, you know. Then we have the Tower of Babel and Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Those are the priesthood, the patriarchs, the fathers of the Old Testament. Now, Jacob, he covenanted with the Lord, and when he did, he changed his name to Israel. So for the whole rest of the Old Testament, when we talk about the children of Israel or the Israelites, we're talking about his descendants. His birthright son is Joseph. Remember Joseph with the coat of many colors, who his brothers sold him as a slave into Egypt. When Joseph was in Egypt, though, he was able to become number 2 of all the country. And when the children of Israel had a famine and were starving, they traveled to Egypt, and the Egyptians were able to give them food. They found out, it was a reunion, and all the children of Israel stayed in Egypt and became a force. And then for 400 years, the pharaohs that followed had them in slavery because they didn't want them to become too great in their nation. So that's what these bars represent, the slavery of the children of Israel. Later on, Moses took them and they wandered in the wilderness until they came to Mount Sinai, where they received the 10 Commandments. And then they wandered some more until Moses was taken up to heaven, and Joshua had them cross the Jordan River into the Promised Land. Now I'll just put on this next little piece here. The children of Israel were able to take the city of Jericho and other cities, and they lived with the law of the judges. And things went pretty well. They were following God. Eventually, they noticed all the other nations had kings and they wanted kings too. So there were 3 kingdoms: Saul, who was a fallen king, David, who was a fallen king, and Solomon, who was a fallen king as well. Finally, the children of Israel split into 2. These 12 tribes of Israel. So over here, Jacob, who became Israel, had 12 sons, and those 12 tribes of Israel lived over here in different tribes. So there were 2 tribes in the south who called themselves Judah. And there were 10 tribes up here in the north who called themselves Israel. And they divided. Over the generations, the kingdom of Israel had 19 kings, and none of them were righteous. So they were taken away captive and eventually lost to the north. Judah had 2 tribes. There were 20 kings, and 8 of them were righteous, but still, eventually, they were taken captive for 70 years by Babylon and later Persia. The Persian king allowed Zerubbabel to return to Jerusalem to build the temple, and then he allowed Ezra to go get the scriptures, and then he allowed Nehemiah to take some people with him to rebuild the walls of the kingdom. And that is the end of the Old Testament. There are 400 years between this ending and the beginning of the New Testament. Okay, now let's get a little bit more into the history as I understand it. Okay, we're starting with the books of Moses. I have my little color code down here. So that'll be blue. So Genesis is here. Exodus is next door. And then Leviticus is kind of at the same time. Leviticus is at Mount Sinai. Then Numbers is just a little bit further down, and Deuteronomy is right at the end there. Then go back to the historic thing. Okay. Here we have Joshua. And remember the Battle of Jericho, for the city of Jericho. Judges is in the Judges section, and so is Ruth. First Samuel comes up here with the first kingdom. And then 2 Samuel comes here with the second kingdom. This is hard. I think I'm going to put them sideways, actually. Yeah, let's do that. So 1 Samuel comes in the first kingdom, and 2 Samuel comes in the second kingdom of David. There's a few more things that happen with 2 Samuel. We've got Chronicles. First Chronicles happens here also. And 2 Chronicles is way over here in all of this time frame. Ezra and Nehemiah are here at the back end of the history. Now you might be wondering where 1st and 2nd Kings go. Well, the 1st Kings is kind of in here. And then the 2nd Kings is over here a little bit. And of course, we want to hear about Esther, who is the queen, and I decided to put her in gold because she was in Babylon right over here with these guys. Next, we have the poetry. And here are the poetic, oh, so gorgeous in gold. I'll pop it down here. Job, surprisingly, goes over here with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Then we've got Psalms, which will be a part of Chronicles and David's reign. Proverbs and Ecclesiastes are also in here. Maybe I'll make a little tea because we got a few more of these guys to add here. Like, for example, Song of Solomon. Okay, next we have the major prophets, and they're going to be in green over here. Isaiah, which comes to this section here. Jeremiah. Lamentations is a little bit over here. And then Ezekiel, Daniel take place when they're in captivity. I'll just pop it down here. I'll have to use a lot of arrows. Now we have those cute little minor prophets. It just didn't have as much to say. Oh boy, got to squish all these guys in here. All right, Hosea and Amos are right along this little section here. We'll make a cute little foundation for them. Hosea, Amos. Then Joel is here with Jeremiah and the gang, and so is Micah. Zephaniah, Habakkuk, then over here we've got Lamentations, Jonah, Obadiah, and Nahum. Who do we have left? Haggai, Zechariah, and Malachi. They go right on the very end, over with Esther and the gang. Whoa. All right. Well, I have to say my sticker compilation here, it's just really hard to read. I'm not certain this is going to do me any favors in the future, but I will give it a try. As you can see, things go along pretty smoothly. And then in here, there's lots of books that are concordant. Is that the word I'm looking for? They take place at the same time. So Joel, Micah, Zephaniah, Habakkuk, Jeremiah, Isaiah, 1 Kings, those all happen at the same time. If I want more details, I'm going to have to dig a little deeper the next time I read the Old Testament. There's always more to learn. All right, well, might not look like it, but that was 2 hours of my afternoon. All righty then. I hope you get a little motivated to look up some scripture things here and find what you need in your study. I'll see you next time. Bye.